and this is his memoir.
Hey, it's Megan
and Sue,
the Spine Breakers. And today we are going to be doing a November wrap-up. And discussing the books that we read in the month of December. November. It is now December.
And we're going to drink in the spirit of holiday season. Who doesn't like some sweet potatoes with their holiday dinners? Sweet potato ale.
And you want to lick the can?
From Pine River Brewing.
She likes to lick the can. Yeah.
Or Piney River. I said Pine River.
Piney River.
It's Piney River, which is in, I can't remember how to pronounce it again. Bucyrus or Bucyrus?
Bucyrus, I think.
Bucyrus, Missouri, which is not far from here.
She'll drink the can while you drink, so you gotta watch her. That's pretty good.
Like it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it does taste sweet potato-y.
It does.
And I fucking love sweet potatoes.
I do too. I like sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I used to think I didn't like them just because the concept seemed wrong to me.
Yeah.
But then I tried it and I was like, God damn, these are good.
God damn, I'm gonna eat me some of that.
Yeah. Alright, so I managed to finish 4 books in November. I'm still a little bit in a kind of a slump,
Same.
I think.
Same.
But I'm kind of creeping out of it.
Me too. I am too. I finished 2 books in November, and I had started a third that I thought I would finish by the end of the month, but I haven't. So, but I finished 2 books.
And those are some pretty sizable books.
They're they're hefty. I mean, they're
chunkers.
Yeah.
The first book I finished was Not My Father's Son by Cumming. And this is his memoir about his childhood. His father was really abusive to him. And then right before he was about to go on this show called Who Do You Think You Are? Which is like a celebrity genealogy show. His father informed him that he was not in fact his biological father.
What?
So
real life spoiler.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It was kind of a combination of like a memoir meets a mystery.
It was
because
like who the fuck is his dad?
You're trying to what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of suspenseful because you want to know, is his father in fact not his real father or not?
Right, is he telling the truth?
And also there's the story that was being investigated for the show Who Do You Think You Are, which was what happened to his grandfather, who died under mysterious circumstances.
Right.
So it was really compelling. And I really enjoyed it. I kind of got a little obsessed with Cumming for a minute after I finished it. I was like looking up interviews and performances that he had done and kind of fell in love with him a little bit. And he was in, if you don't know who he is, he's an actor. I should have said this beforehand. He's an actor. He won a Tony for his performance in Cabaret. He played the MC, but he's also been in a lot of TV shows and movies. I think he's currently on a TV show called, I can't remember. It's like a detective show though, but I think he's playing the first openly gay lead character on network television, which is kind of ridiculous. I'm like, really? Just now is the first openly gay? Which it's on network television.
Right.
I'm sure there's probably others on TV already. I think he's a really great actor, though. It's so interesting to me that like some people can go through the like this kind of abuse. Like his father was like very physically abusive and I think emotionally abusive as well. But yet I think Cumming just kind of decided that he was gonna be okay. You know what I mean? And was like, is like a really positive person. Yeah. And it's so interesting to me that some people can just do that while other people are just like devastated by,
they're fucked up forever. Yeah. Like I can't speak to the level of abuse that he experienced, but like I can speak to some degree. And I think that, like, you get to a point where it's like you get to a certain age and you realize that, like, you're in control of you at that point. Like, I'm an adult and they don't have to control me anymore, and I don't have to allow that person to continue to control me that way, and I can choose how I get to be.
Yeah, and he does talk about kind of like 2 pivotal moments. One was when he was still quite young, when he kind of decided that he wasn't going to be ashamed of who he was, because he's openly bisexual, has always been pretty open about it, and no problems with being out and whatever.
Here's who I am.
Right. And also he talks about kind of going through a breakdown a little when he was in his, I think, late 20s. Yeah, kind of going through that and coming out on the other side better for him, you know. So I found it really, really interesting, just like who he is as a person now, after all that he's gone through too. But I really liked it. Yeah, 4 stars, like I said.
Nice.
And it fulfilled my Read Harder challenge of reading a celebrity memoir.
On a completely different level. The first book I finished in November was Deadline by Mira, which is the 2nd book in the Newsflesh trilogy. This may or may not be spoiler-free. It's really hard to talk about the 2nd book in the trilogy and keep it spoiler-free.
Right.
So if you don't want spoilers, maybe ignore me.
Skip forward.
Or just be aware that I may give you some spoilers. But so this book takes place after one of the main characters in the... I'm going to try to not be spoilery, but I'm probably going to be spoilery. One of the main characters in the first book dies. The other characters in this... they're a group of bloggers that are trying to bring the news to people in, like, the year's 2041. The zombie apocalypse happened in 2014. And so this, like, life has continued to happen since then, and they've kind of rebuilt society, and everyone's just kind of living with the fact that there are zombies. There's the virus, whatever. This is how we live now. The character who died in the first book died as this news group was uncovering a conspiracy, like a governmental conspiracy. So in this book, they discover that it goes a lot deeper than they had initially thought. It actually goes into the CDC. The CDC is corrupt. So they're trying to expose the CDC and try to get to the bottom of what the fuck is going on. And I really like these novels. They're chunky, like all of them are pretty large. Is she giving you mouth makeup kisses? Anubis is like a champion at licking you, like, inside of your mouth.
She can get you.
Like, you'll just
when you least suspect it. She's
like, I'm cool.
Oh, Sasha's getting mad.
I like the way that Mira writes. I think that she's an excellent writer. I think the characters were fairly well developed. And, I mean, for a zombie novel, there's a lot going on here. Like, I was trying to explain this book to my family when I was up in Michigan for Thanksgiving, because they're like, oh, what are you reading? And I was actually reading the 3rd book in the series, which I'll talk about in a second. But, and I was trying to explain it to them, and it's really more of like a conspiracy thriller, and it just happens to have zombies, because there's not a lot of gore, there's not a lot of, like, typical zombie novel stuff in there. It's just, this is our world now. There are zombies in it.
And I find it really interesting that Mira is Sean McGuire's
pseudonym. Yeah. So anyway, 4 out of 5 stars. I liked it a lot.
The next book I read actually also fulfilled my last Read Harder challenge.
Woo!
Which I thought I had already completed.
Aw, yes.
But I realized that the essay, I had read an essay collection, but it was by one author. And I realized that the challenge was to read an essay anthology, and it has to be by multiple authors. So I got this from the library. It is called Selfish, Shallow, and Self-Absorbed, 16 Writers on the Decision Not to Have Kids, and it is edited by Daum. So these are all essays by writers who have, for one reason or another, decided not to have children, and most of them are by women, but there are at least 2, maybe 3 by men. I don't remember. 3, I think 3 by men. And I really, really liked this book a lot. Awesome. I think I gave it 4.5 stars.
Oh, wow.
I didn't quite give it 5 only because I feel like, I mean, it's understandable because someone who's not a writer might not write a great essay, so I don't know if I'd want to read that. But I do feel like it's kind of a limited perspective because they're all writers. So they all have kind of similar lifestyles, I think. And they're all, you know, successful writers. So they travel a lot and things that don't really, you know, their lifestyle doesn't exactly lend itself well to having children in the first place. But I still think that all of them had like different ideas and different reasons why they chose not to have children. And for me, I've always like kind of been undecided but leaning toward no on whether to have children or not. And I feel like these were really validating to me. And I do think that for the most part, they were really respectful of people who do choose to have children because I think, you know, it's
not a battle. Like, it's not a fucking competition.
Exactly, because I think that people, you know, there is immense pressure, I think, on women especially to have children. But I think on everyone, like everyone just kind of expects you to want to settle down and have a family, even if you're a man. Like, oh, when are you gonna get married and have kids, whatever.
I think that's the expectation,
Yeah, and so, but I think especially for women, like women are constantly asked, when are you gonna have kids? And if you have a kid, when are you gonna have another? You know? And it's just kind of ridiculous also, and because, you know, you don't know the situation someone's in. Like for me, honestly, I probably can't have kids. Maybe. I mean, probably.
It's likely that
I would have to make a conscious decision, I think, to change, completely change my lifestyle for one, or to possibly spend thousands of dollars on fertility drugs if I wanted to have kids because I have PCOS, which means I don't ovulate.
Right.
So I can't just have a baby without really thinking about it, you know? So I do have to make a conscious decision, and I think that's kind of why I lean toward no, is because, like, it was kind of something where I was like, oh, if it happens, it happens. But it's like, it's not gonna happen unless I decide yes.
Right.
And I don't think I'm ever gonna do that.
If you did, you can have my eggs. I'm not gonna use them.
I don't think it'll happen. And if I was gonna spend thousands of dollars, for me, I would just spend it on trying to adopt a child because I don't have that need inside me to have my own children. And I've talked to, like, my sister who has four children. And I said something along those lines to her where I was like, I don't understand why people spend thousands of dollars on fertility drugs when they could just try to adopt a child. I don't get it. And she was like, oh, I had to have my own children. Like, she had that need inside her to, like, birth her own offspring. And I just don't have that. I've never had that.
I haven't either. And it's fine if you do. Like, I think that's great if you do. I personally can't relate to that because I've never had it either.
Yeah,
I've never felt that way.
And I do, like I said, like, I would not be adverse to, like, adopting a child, and especially an older child, because for me, like babies kind of, I don't want to deal with babies.
Right.
Like, nothing wrong with babies. They're cute most of the time, but I don't know what to do with a baby because I can't talk to it. I can't, like, they can't respond. Like, I don't know what to do with babies. I think they're boring, and I don't like to have something that's completely dependent on me. You know?
I'm kind of the opposite. Like, I agree. Like, I am the same in that I think I would not like having something completely dependent on me. But I like babies because I feel like babies are so much easier than kids. Like, once they gain some, like, I almost said sentience, but that's not the right. Once they gain some autonomy. Right. Because, like, babies have very basic human needs. They need to be fed. They need to, like, do their potty business. They need to feel loved and cared for. They need to feel safe. And they need stimulation. Like, I can do all those things. I can hold you. I can feed you. I will change your diaper. I will give you toys to play with. I can make funny faces till the cows come home. Shit, I'll even do a little, you know, little dance. Babies are easy.
Yeah. But, see, I don't think babies are easy. They're not easy for me because I don't want to do a little dance for someone. I feel stupid. I want to talk to someone. Like, once a child gets to the point that they can interact with me, that's when you enjoy children.
I like them when they're teenagers. Once they hit about 5 or 6, I don't like them anymore. And then from like 5 or 6 to about 12, they're awkward, they're precocious, they're like trying to figure themselves out.
Yeah.
I don't want to do all that.
Kids, like, once they get past around like 5, they do hit a phase where you're just kind of like,
come on, man. But like teenagers, I can totally get on board with because you can reason with them to some degree. I mean, hormones are definitely. I mean, shit, my brain was hormone soup when I was a teenager, so like, I get it. But you can at least attempt to have a rational conversation with a teenager.
Yeah. You should read this book, and then we should have a discussion video about it, because I feel like we could talk about it forever.
Yeah, we totally could.
But it was really good. Yeah. I would definitely recommend it if maybe you're doing the Read Harder challenge and you need something for that particular challenge. I would definitely recommend this book. And if you have children, or if you want to have children, to be honest, I'm not sure how you would feel about it. But it's always nice to get different perspectives. So
I honestly think it'd be beneficial for people with kids to read it, because honestly, like, I really hate to say this, but the most judgment that I've gotten about not wanting children is from women, and especially women who either want to have or do have children.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's always that idea of like, you're missing out on so much. Like, they're my world.
I never knew what love was.
There's that
like,
idea.
I'm sure,
I don't know
what parental love is like.
And several of the authors like talk about those things. But, like, there's so many, because there's 16 different essays in here, and they all have different things to say. And they kind of cover pretty much all bases, I would say.
Yeah, I'll have to read it, and we'll have to do a discussion.
Yeah,
Vigi.
we should.
So the second and final book that I finished in November was Blackout by Mira Grant. So this is the third book in the Newsflesh trilogy. This one got fucking real. They were all real, but I had told Susan at one point. I just realized
we've been filming this with the TV on the whole time.
Shit. I had the TV on for the dogs, so I never turned it off. I'll turn it off now.
I'm sorry for the TV noises in the background.
And there was like kind of some things hinted at in the first 2 books, and I had told Susan like a week or 2 ago that I wanted her to read them because I wanted her to see if she noticed the same thing that I did. It's answered in this book.
I see.
And so it is what I thought it was. But yeah, so in this book, basically this team of journalists solve the CDC conspiracy thing, and so they're trying to expose that and come out of it alive, because it goes deeper than they thought it did. Also, they kill a zombie bear.
Oh, the famed zombie bear?
Yes.
They kill it?
They kill it.
That's sad.
I was trying to eat them, so I get it.
The third book that I finished was Poems by William Blake. And oh no. And these were selected by Patti Smith. And I started this months ago and just had to put it down for other things and hadn't had a chance to pick them back up. But I finally finished it, and it's mostly poems, but there's also some of his artwork. I think they're maybe engravings. I could be wrong about that. And then at the end there's a few letters by him. And I liked this okay.
I ended
up giving it 3 stars. For me, I think it's a lot of stuff about Christianity. And I don't necessarily have a problem with it being about that, but for me, I know fucking, like, fuck all about the Bible. And so I feel like a lot of the references I just didn't get because I don't know. Like, I haven't been to church since I was like 5 years old. And I've never read the Bible. I need to read the Bible just so I'll get all the literary references.
You should at least read it. Like, I always recommend that to people because, like, I've read it cover to cover a couple times, and some parts of it are very entertaining. Given the area that we live in, it gives you some cultural context.
Right.
And it's good for a laugh.
Yeah. But I did mark, there's one poem that for whatever reason I really liked this one. It's not religious at all. It's very short, so I'm going to read it. It's called The Fly. Little fly, thy summer's play my thoughtless hand has brushed away. Am not I a fly like thee, or art not thou a man like me? For I dance and drink and sing till some blind hand shall brush my wing. If thought is life and strength and breath, and the want of thought is death, then am I a happy fly if I live or if I die. So I really liked that poem for some reason. Because I feel like William Blake, like everyone just fucking loves him and reveres him, and like I get it, but I think that a lot of the references just kind of were over my head, I think, because I don't know much about the Bible. So for me, there was like a whole section in the middle that was very much like focused on religion, and I was like, oh, it was kind of a drag. But overall, I gave it 3 stars.
Three.
Well,
I only read 2, so what was the audiobook?
The last thing I finished was an audiobook, and it was called... Where's my phone?
It was called Where's My Phone? Memoir of Megan.
So it was called Barrel-Aged Stout and Selling Out, Goose Island, Anheuser-Busch, and How Craft Beer Became Big Business by Josh Noel. And I had seen Olive from A Book Olive recommend this on her channel for Nonfiction November, which I kind of like unofficially participated in this month because I read three of the 4 books I read were nonfiction this month, which is a little unusual for me. I mean, I feel like I read a fair amount of nonfiction, but usually more fiction than nonfiction. Right. And this month I read more nonfiction. But anyway, I haven't watched her discussion video yet because I wanted to finish the book first. So I still need to watch that, but I thought this was really interesting. As someone who obviously enjoys
a
beer and craft beer especially, I found it really fascinating. And you know, I've definitely heard people in like the craft beer community talk down about breweries like Goose Island and Breckenridge and Elysian who are owned by Anheuser-Busch, and there's other other craft breweries that were sold to other brands like Miller and whatever brand owns Corona and stuff like that, which they talk about in the book. But yeah, it was really fascinating. And depending on what you're interested in, I think even if you're not in the into craft beer, you might still enjoy it because it really goes into the business aspect and you know, how it all works and how Anheuser-Busch was like trying to compete with craft breweries and what happens to a craft brewery, especially Goose Island. It's definitely focused on Goose Island, which was the first brewery acquired by Anheuser-Busch, and kind of talks about what happened to Goose Island after they were bought by Anheuser-Busch and the mistakes that Anheuser-Busch made because it was the first craft brewery that they acquired. So yeah, it was really interesting. I ended up giving it 4 stars. The issue I had with it was just that I was listening to it on audio and I don't retain information super well that way, and there's a lot of names and stuff in the book, and so sometimes I couldn't keep track of who was who and
what was going on.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe it would have been better if I had read it physically. But you know, if you're someone who is an auditory learner, that wouldn't be an issue for you, but I definitely am not an auditory learner. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it though. It was good. Yeah, the sweet potato ale is really good.
It is.
The Piney River Brewing is a good brewery. Yeah, like they make great beer. We need to go down there sometime. It's about 2 hours from here.
Is there anything in Bucyrus like we could go and stay? Or
there might be a hotel in Houston.
Okay.
Because it's right near Houston, Missouri, which is in Texas County.
Because Missouri just rips off other names. Like Nevada, which they call Nevada.
Nevada. My boyfriend's from Cuba, Missouri. Yeah, but this brewery is really delicious. Like, pretty much all their stuff is pretty good. I don't know how widely they're distributed, but if you ever see some Piney River stuff, then
get some.
Snatch it up. Especially, this is really good, and their Old Tom Porter is delicious, but it's seasonal. It should be out soon.
It should be out soon.
It's a winter brew.
It's delicious.
But it's a really, really good porter.
Yeah, it's delightful.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it.
That's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.